Good evening. You're watching the news at 6 on Rajya Sabha television with me, Frank Pereira. Here are the headlines this evening. President Pranab Mukherjee signs ordinance on NEET decision to keep state boards out of the entrance exam for medical courses for 1 year. President Pranab Mukherjee leaves on a 4-day visit to China, trip to focus on broadening relations between the two Asian economic giants. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attends swearing-in of Sarbananda Sonowal as Chief Minister of Assam, thanks people of the state for giving the mandate to the BJP. And at the World Humanitarian Summit, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon calls for reducing by half the number of internally displaced people by 2030. Well, President Pranab Mukherjee today signed the ordinance on keeping states out of the ambit of a single all-India medical entrance test this year. His nod came after much deliberation with the Union Health Ministry on why the centre had chosen the ordinance route on this issue. The exemption to states, however, has been given only for this year. They will have to implement NEET from the next academic session. Here's more.
Students of state boards will not have to sit for the National Eligibility Entrance Test, the common entrance test for medical courses, on the 24th of July. President Pranab Mukherjee on Tuesday signed the ordinance to keep states out of the ambit of NEET this year, overturning a Supreme Court verdict that directed all government colleges, deemed universities and private medical colleges to be covered under the single medical examination. The decision came a day after the President was briefed by Union Health Minister J.P. Nadda on why the Cabinet sought the ordinance route.
The state governments will get an opportunity to appear this year, that is for the 2016-17, for undergraduate examinations. But this year, December, the post-graduation examination will be held under NEET provisions. All private institutions and medical colleges will come under the ambit of NEET.
More than 15 states were opposed to NEET and had raised issues such as different syllabus and languages during a recent meeting of state health ministers. Representatives from as many as 18 states had met the Union Health Minister a week ago, seeking more time for the implementation of the uniform entrance exam.
Supreme Court के order के पश्चात बहुत से state governments ने central government को approach किया और उन्होंने अपनी डिफिकल्टी के बारे में रखा, जिसको वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ठीक ढंग से नहीं रख पाए थे.
The President's nod to the ordinance has evoked mixed reactions.
छात्रों को इससे क्या नुकसान हो रहा है, किस तरह से प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेजेस उन छात्रों को वंचित रखते हैं जो वाकई इसके लायक हैं, इस और सरकार ने ध्यान नहीं दिया. वो केवल और केवल प्राइवेट मेडिकल कॉलेजेस को फ़ायदा पहुंचाने के हिसाब से इस ऑर्डिनेंस को लेके आए हैं.
A government is not supposed to be an ordinance factory that produce one ordinance because you don't have any idea how to take everybody along in a time-bound manner.
This is just postponement of NEET for next year, but we want complete abolition of NEET.
Nearly 6.5 lakh students have already taken the medical entrance test in the first phase of NEET, which was held on the 1st of May. Now, with the ordinance promulgated, students of state boards are exempt from appearing for NEET phase 2 on the 24th of July. They will, however, become part of the uniform entrance exam from the next academic session. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on now, President Pranab Mukherjee arrived in Guangzhou province on a 4-day visit to China. In his meetings with Chinese leaders, he will focus on further broadening relations between the two Asian economic giants. This is the first visit by an Indian president since 2010. Former President Pratibha Patil had visited the nation last.
President Pranab Mukherjee's visit to China will begin with a trip to the industrial city of Guangzhou, the only Chinese province with an economy of over $1 trillion. Besides interacting with the Indian community that includes nearly 3,000 businessmen there, he will also address the India-China Business Forum on Wednesday. Mukherjee arrives in Beijing on Wednesday, where the Chinese People's Friendship Association for Foreign Countries will host a reception. On Thursday, he will address a meeting at the Peking University. Bilateral talks will follow with his counterpart Xi Jinping, Premier Li Keqiang and other top leaders. The president is expected to raise China's attempt to block a UN ban on Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar. The talks will also feature China's insistence on building a consensus on India's admission into the nuclear suppliers group. This comes just days after Beijing backed Pakistan's claim to join the 48-member group. President Mukherjee was invited by Chinese President Xi Jinping. Accompanying him are Union Minister Santosh Gangwar, a delegation of academicians including vice-chancellors of 2 central universities and heads of IIT Delhi and IIM Ahmedabad. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, former Union Minister and BJP leader Sarbananda Sonowal today took oath as the new Chief Minister of Assam. Governor P.B. Acharya administered him the oath of office and secrecy at a mammoth function in Guwahati. Many cabinet ministers, including Himanta Biswa Sharma, were also sworn in today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the function along with a host of dignitaries who included diplomats from SAARC countries and chief ministers of BJP-ruled states and union ministers. Former Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi was also among the guests on the dais, as also were NDA Chief Ministers Prakash Singh Badal, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, Vasundhara Raje and N. Chandrababu Naidu.
मुझे विश्वास है कि हमेशा प्रसन्न चित्त रहने वाले सर्बानंद जी असम के सर्बानंद के लिए कोई कसर नहीं छोड़ेंगे। पूरी मेहनत और लगन के साथ असम के भाग्य को बदलने के लिए पूरा प्रयास करेंगे।
Meanwhile, earlier in the day, Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived home after his successful two-day visit to Iran. The Iran visit will be remembered most for the historic Chabahar Pact signed between India, Iran and Afghanistan. Modi's visit to the country was the first by an Indian leader in 15 years. It was seen as significant as Iran is an important partner in terms of energy security. India currently imports close to 12 million tons of crude oil from Iran. Here's more.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi returned home after completing a successful two-day visit to Iran. During the visit, the two sides signed 12 agreements in various areas. The most important of these was the contract on Chabahar port. India has promised an investment of $500 million into developing the crucial port that will be the gateway leading to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Afghanistan joined India and Iran in signing the pact.
Today, we are all witnessing creation of history, not just for the people of our three countries, but for the entire region.
I thank them because they believe that Afghanistan is going to be stable in their wagering on our stability, not on our destruction.
The agreement on Chabahar is being seen as a counterbalancing effort against China's growing influence in the region through Pakistan. Chabahar is located near the Iran-Pakistan border, a little over 60 miles from the Pakistani port of Gadar that is being developed by the Chinese.
تصمیم امروز و توافق امروز بر علیه هیچ کشوری نخواهد بود و آنچه فعالیت سه کشور هست به نفع کل منطقه.
Before leaving Iran, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated an international conference on India and Iran, two great civilizations, retrospect and prospects, and released a Persian manuscript, a collection of translated tales from native Indian literature. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Moving on to some other news now. A day after two terror attacks in Srinagar, security forces gunned down two militants, including a Jaish-e-Mohammed commander in the Maharaja Bazar area of downtown Srinagar. The man was identified as Saifullah. An operation to nab him was launched on Monday evening following a tip-off about his whereabouts. Moving on, now Urban Development Minister Venkaiah Naidu announced a list of 13 more cities today to be developed as smart cities. While Lucknow topped the list, Warangal and Dharamshala stood at the second and third spots respectively. The government plans to develop 100 cities across the country under its Smart City mission by 2020.
13 out of 23 cities qualified to be developed as smart cities in the fast-track competition. These include Lucknow, Warangal, Dharamshala, Chandigarh, Raipur, Newtown, Kolkata, Bhagalpur, Panji, Port Blair, Imphal, Ranchi, Agartala and Faridabad. All cities improved their smart city plans by over 25% to become eligible.
Of these 23 cities, 9 of them have improved their quality of smart city plans by scoring over 25% marks more than what they scored in the first round of competition. Of these, 7 have been selected. 6 of the 23 cities have improved the quality of smart city plans in the range of 12% to 24%.
The first round had 20 winning cities across 12 states and union territories with a proposed outlay of 50,802 crore rupees. The 13 cities announced today have proposed projects involving 30,229 crore rupees. Each city will get 500 crore from the centre over 5 years, with the respective states coming up with a matching contribution.
These 13 cities selected fast-track competition have proposed a total investment of 30,229 crores. With this, investment proposed by 33 cities under Smart City Plan is now 80,789 crores.
Other cities that couldn't make the grade will get another opportunity to revise their plans and get them evaluated in the second round by June end. Smart cities will ensure a basic infrastructure that will include water and power supply, sanitation and solid waste management, efficient transport and IT connectivity. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's now get you a roundup of the other national news in Nationwide. The Supreme Court today refused to direct the Maharashtra government to completely cut water supply to distilleries and breweries in the drought-hit regions. A bench of Justices P.C. Pant and D.Y. Chandrachud pulled up the petitioner for approaching the apex court, saying that the Bombay High Court had already passed an interim order in this regard. The CBI today questioned Uttarakhand Chief Minister Harish Rawat on a sting that allegedly shows him offering a bribe in exchange for support in a trust vote. Rawat has denied the allegations. The video was released by rebel Congress legislators. M.K. Stalin was today elected as the DMK legislature party leader, allowing him to become leader of the opposition in the Tamil Nadu Assembly. The decision was taken in the presence of party president and other senior party leaders at the party headquarters in Chennai. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan today said the new CPM Left Democratic Front government in Kerala will be a people's government and function beyond caste, religious and political barriers. He also sought cooperation from people of all walks of life for betterment of the state. BJP leader Ram Madhav said they will raise the issue of the ban on the ABVP in Jammu University with the Vice-Chancellor. He tweeted that the party will take action against what he called the VC's obstinate behavior in the matter. It's time for a short break now, but news and updates will continue on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Congress Mukt Bharat. Is that something that you are achieving?
I think that is now become a people's agenda.
India is the second largest importer of arms. If we become an exporter of arms, it will be incredible.
I think at the end of tenure of this government, it will. This is one area where I will be very happy to lose the rank. I expect Rafale deal to close very soon. We are at the last stages of negotiation. The army has a clear direction that if there is an infiltration attempt, don't hesitate, neutralize the terrorist.
Watch Union Defence Minister Manohar Parrikar articulate his views into the point on Rajya Sabha television.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries on Rajya Sabha television.
Hello, I am Ishan Russell.
I'm Tracy Shilchi and you're watching News Tonight.
Together with the team of our
Dedicated professionals from across various fields.
This is Shyam Sundar,
Vishal Dahiya,
Akhilesh Suman,
Frank Pereira from Beijing, China.
Kriti Mishra for Rajya Sabha Television.
We bring to you
the news that matters here on Rajya Sabha TV.
One of the most influential revolutionaries of Indian freedom struggle, Shaheed Bhagat Singh. Born into a Sikh family, patriotism flowed in his blood at the age of 13. When he formed Naujawan Bharat Sabha to spread the message of revolution in Punjab. In the wake of avenging Lala Lajpat Rai's death, Bhagat Singh and his associates coined the catchphrase Inqilab Zindabad. But towards the end of their rebellion, they had to pay a heavy price for their patriotism. Following the blasts inside the corridors of the assembly, both Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwar Dutt courted arrest. Bhagat Singh was sent to the gallows in Lahore with his fellow comrades, after which he was cremated in Hussainiwala on the banks of Satluj.
Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, global leaders discussed ways to tackle the migrant crisis that is playing out in many parts of the world. At the two-day World Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon urged participants to improve the global humanitarian system. Here's more.
As thousands of stranded migrants were evacuated from the makeshift camp on Greece's northern border with Macedonia, world leaders continued their talks in Istanbul to tackle a broken system that has left hundreds of millions in need of aid. Greek police on Tuesday evacuated more than 1,000 migrants from a makeshift camp on the country's border months after they refused to leave. Many of the migrants are from conflict zones in Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan. They have been living in tents with little food to eat. Meanwhile, at the two-day World Humanitarian Summit, UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon called on the international community to find better solutions to the migrant crisis.
I urge you to commit to cutting half the number of internally displaced people by 2030 and to find better long-term solutions for refugees and displaced people based on more equal sharing of responsibilities.
The UN chief also urged governments, aid groups, private sectors and other stakeholders to take strong action to improve the system. An international framework for refugees and asylum seekers, more legal pathways for migration and combating migrant trafficking was also discussed.
The World Humanitarian Summit in this unique and inclusive format because of the important role that people affected by crisis, civil society, NGOs and others play in humanitarian action.
The summit aims to mobilize funds for humanitarian aid for the estimated 130 million people in need of it around the world. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, in other international news now, a day after the IS took responsibility for the multiple attacks that claimed almost 150 lives in two towns in the Damascus countryside, the Syrian government blamed Turkey, Qatar and Saudi Arabia for the deaths. State-run news agency Sana said that the attacks were planned to undermine peace talks with the opposition. Meanwhile, Russia called for a temporary truce even as the UN condemned the attacks.
A day after multiple attacks rocked Syria's coastal region, the Syrian government has put the blame on foreign states. The Syrian government has blamed Qatar, Turkey and Saudi Arabia of being behind the wave of bombings in the coastal cities of Tartus and Jableh. Syria's state-run news agency Sana said the attacks constituted a serious escalation and were aimed at derailing the peace efforts. United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon too condemned the attacks, taking note of the escalating military activity in many areas in and around Damascus.
The Secretary General also takes note with great concern of the escalating military activity in many parts in and around Damascus. The violence, particularly in Daraya, Aleppo and Idlib, and in the northern countryside of Homs, especially Al-Hula, is causing mounting civilian casualties.
Meanwhile, Russia, a known ally of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, has called for a temporary truce in 2 towns in the Damascus countryside following the multiple attacks. 7 near-simultaneous explosions targeted bus stations, hospitals and other civilian sites in the seaside cities of Jableh and Tartus, which until now had been relatively insulated from the country's 5-year civil war. Monday's attacks are significant because Tartus is home to a Russian naval facility and Jableh is close to a Russian-operated airbase. Nearly 150 people were killed and at least 200 wounded in the attacks.
Secretary General reiterates his call on all parties to the Syrian conflict to refrain from attacks on the civilian population. Those perpetrating such attacks must be held accountable for their crimes.
The Kremlin said the explosions demonstrate the fragile situation in Syria and underscore the need to press ahead to relaunch peace talks. The civil war in Syria has killed more than 270,000 people and displaced millions over the last 5 years. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Here's a roundup of the other international news in Global Buzz. Former President of the Maldives, Mohammed Nasheed, was today granted asylum by the UK. His lawyer, Hassan Latif, claimed that Nasheed was given political refugee status, but the British government is yet to comment. He was allowed to go to Britain for a spinal cord surgery after a deal brokered by Sri Lanka, India and the UK. 70 Pakistani nationals are headed home from India even as Indians await clearance to meet their relatives in Pakistan-administered Kashmir from Islamabad. Pakistani nationals urge their government to issue permits to their Indian counterparts. The Poonch-Rawalkot bus service started in 2005 for Indians and Pakistanis who had relatives on both sides of Kashmir. A landslide in a remote jade mining area in Myanmar claimed 11 lives, with many more feared missing. Local officials said about 50 people were searching for jade at the time of the landslide. The jade mining industry in Myanmar is unregulated and landslides are common. Five days after Egypt Air Flight 804 disappeared en route from Paris to Cairo, conflicting reports are emerging from Greek and Egyptian authorities. While the Greek defense minister initially said that the plane swerved 90 degrees left and then 360 degrees before plunging dramatically upon entering Egyptian airspace, Egypt is challenging that account. Let's shift focus now and bring you up to date with some sports news in our sports beat. The Sports Ministry today said medal winners from the upcoming Rio Olympic Games will be considered for this year's Khel Ratna and Arjuna Awards. In an official statement, the ministry said that the decision will prevent athletes from waiting a whole year after their medal-winning performances at the Games. Indian golfer Anirban Lahiri will play his 8th successive major next month after confirming his place for the US Open. The event will take place between June 16th and 19th in Oakmont, Pennsylvania. The US Open is the only major where Lahiri has not made a cut so far. Defending champion Stan Wawrinka avoided a first-round exit at the French Open. Third seed Wawrinka trailed twice but finally beat Czech Lucas Rosol 4-6, 6-1, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 at Roland Garros. Japan's Kei Nishikori also completed a 6-1, 7-5, 6-3 victory over Italy's Simone Bolelli. In the women's singles, Spain's Garbine Muguruza rebounded from losing the first set against Anna Karolina Schmidlova to beat the Slovakian 3-6, 6-3, 6-3. Manchester United sacked manager Louis van Gaal on Monday after an FA Cup triumph failed to make up for the club's inability to qualify for the Champions League. The Dutchman was dismissed 2 days after United's win over Crystal Palace in the Wembley Cup final. Meanwhile, former Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho is widely expected to replace Van Gaal as his successor. FIFA's acting Secretary General Marcus Katner has been sacked after being accused of paying himself bonuses worth millions of pounds. FIFA said an investigation uncovered breaches of fiduciary responsibilities. The 45-year-old German took over as acting General Secretary after Jerome Walker was sacked for irregularities. That's it on this edition of the News at 6. Have a good evening.